Hey, what is up there, guys? Dave Kunstek here. Today is my birthday, 47th trip around the sun, starting today. So what I wanted to do today, again, I was trying to think about what I want to do for a video. So I decided that what I'm going to do this one about are the things that I wish I understood when I was younger. I've been journaling a lot, doing some deep thinking about direction, for business, personal relationships, just pretty much been trying to work on everything just to get into a direction that I want things to be going and end up where I want to end up. And, just in that process, I've come across a pile of things that I'm going to say I knew when I was younger. I mean, I knew it, but I didn't understand them. And I feel like there's anybody that's younger than me that could take from this and just, man, take what I'm saying here for gospel, that one day they'll look back and see I was right. And again, all things that I wish I would have understood. So anyway, I'm going to kind of go through these real quick. This might be a little long, a little raw, but here we go. So, and if you see me reading here, I'm actually, again, I made some notes when I was going through this morning, coming up with these thoughts. So if you don't have a goal or a plan in life, and you're just accepting like the day-to-day as it happens, and one day you're going to wonder why you're in the same place you were, maybe even 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or why you haven't moved forward. So it could be your living conditions, relationships with your children, your parents, your career, traveling to the places you want to travel to, like any kind of relationships. If you ever had the thought, well, someday when XYZ is right, I'll get to do this, or this will be happen. I'll be happy at this point. Well, if you're waiting just for these circumstances to appear, and again, I've always heard this, that I'll be happy when this happens or when we get to this point. It doesn't work that way. Things aren't going to happen by accident. You just need to have a goal or a plan for your life, for your relationships, constantly evaluating them, and just making sure you're going in the direction you want to go, and then you're making consistent progress. So, if you do have those things you want for retirement, and again, you might have an IRA or something, or, you're thinking about a retirement home, write it down. Write the plan out, put it top of mind. You want a car, you want a certain career, you want to earn a certain amount, you want a better relationship with your girlfriend, with your spouse, whatever. Write it down so you start thinking about it. I mean, writing it down really makes the difference. So that's as close as you're going to get to moving forward with that. So next one, again, this one, I've been guilty of at times, being a business owner, and it's always put your family first over business, or your job. Sometimes there are acceptable sacrifices that just have to happen, one-time things, but make sure you're not missing a one-time thing for your family. It's such a balance. But your clients, or your job in most cases, if you skip something for your family or your children or your parents or whatever, your job or your business or your clients are not going to remember that maybe even a month from now. But your family and your kids are 100% going to remember that you weren't there when something special happened for them. So again, I've struggled with this, and I feel like I've been doing a lot better job at it, but put your family first over business. Next thing, and this is crazy, but don't watch the news. I can't even tell you how many relationships I've had that went bad, even over the last election, political arguments, and the other part of the news, it's mostly just focused on the worst of humanity. And, really what you feed into your mind, you keep watching it and watching. Say you watch the news for an hour a day, that's 7 hours a week. Now you're 30 hours a day, so you're watching the worst of humanity for more than an entire day every week. If you watch news just for an hour a day at night. And what you should be doing instead is reading a book, spending a time with your family, listening to an audio, maybe doing some home improvements, planning home improvements, anything to feed your mind other than the news. I mean, yeah, you get the weather, you might have some good local stuff, but man, for the most part, the news just sucks. I mean, and I'll tell you a quick story about how I realized this, is that, again, it wasn't that long ago, but when Russia invaded the Ukraine, I don't know why I was captivated by it. I watched the news constantly, and man, it just affected how I felt. I constantly felt bad for the people of Ukraine, and rightfully so. I should have. But I was watching it for hours a day, always checking what's going on, hoping they made progress, hoping they were beating the Russians. And here we are today. It's still going on. None of that helped me at all, and it really put me in a bad place mentally. It just did, because I was just watching it, death, destruction, conquering, and when I stopped watching it, like I realized I was in such a bad place. After about a week, man, I started feeling good again. But I've had this occur throughout my life when it comes to the news, man. The news is just bad. Like I said, focus on the positive, focus on your family, focus on business, your job, whatever. But man, the news, keep it sparing. So next thing is you need to have strong and defined whys. Why you're doing something, why you want something, what you're working towards. And I know I've heard this my entire life. It's in every book. You hear all the time, goals, goals, goals. You need these things, but the goals are fine, but you really need to have the whys behind them. And I'll tell you why. Is I personally have accomplished some pretty major goals for myself. Both for possessions, financial and otherwise. Like, they're pretty major. And when I did, I just didn't feel the way I thought I would, when I got there. Sometimes I just didn't feel good at all when I realized, that I made it emotionally. But I got there. It was awesome. And then once that high from getting there started to fade, I started to realize I just still felt the same, because these monetary and physical things that I was striving for, that I thought I wanted so bad, when I finally got them, they didn't make me feel any different. Like, my whys were messed up. Like, I'm not gonna get into my list of what my whys are now, but they're a lot stronger. They're not all mainly physical, meaning things I can possess. A lot of it has to do with developing my family and giving my kids opportunities, and family trips, stuff that's going to create memories. And I know it's different for everybody, but I feel like even if you are the person that's working towards your whys and you're working towards your goals, is what I meant, is you really need to have it balanced out with the whys. Because like I said, when I got there, and I still have a way to go because I set new ones, obviously, but when I got there, I was very disappointed with how I felt, because my whys didn't align with these goals of what I thought I needed to feel accomplished. And like I said, just keep that in mind with your goals. So next, the things that you have conflicts with in your life, being personal relationships, could be business, friends, family, spouse, kids, whoever. What I've found, again, 47 now, I have 5 kids, and what I found is these things will all pass with time, pretty much all of it. And you do not need to make these conflicts so important that they monopolize your thoughts on, oh my God, this is what's happening. Oh my God, this is what's going on. It's just that everything will pass with time. Like you've heard people say, all things get healed with time, and it's true. The feelings of these conflicts start to fade. So I feel like the key, at this point in my life, when these conflicts arise, is it's going to come up. There'll be some emotion, but get it over as soon as possible. Cut the cord, make sense of it, and let it go. And do not make the conflicts bigger than they need to be. That's a really big one for me, because I've hung on to a lot of stuff, involved a lot of people for a long time. Going through a divorce, custody battles, just you name it, business problems, conflicts, having to shift my internal team over conflicts that were even happening with me in my earlier years. I held on to them and I really feel like they held me back. But just, you can't let that stuff monopolize your thoughts. Let things go. Conflicts are not meant to be forever. Next one is, journaling. I didn't always do it. I've always said, hey, you journal, and it's going to help you a lot. It's going to help you move forward. And since I started doing it on a regular basis, man, it's just like having a personal check-in where, you're putting down what's going on, how you feel, and you come to realizations of what you can adjust right now, today. So even if you're only doing it, I do it every day, but if you're only doing it, like, say, 3 days a week, that's 3 times a week. You're going to put critical thought into your life and come up with small adjustments just based on stuff that happened in the last day or two. And over the course of a week of making small adjustments, turns into months, turns into a year. These adjustments become monumental. So for me, journaling, when the first person told me about journaling, like, nah, I'm not keeping a diary. And that's obviously, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are thinking that they're not alone with that, but it really makes such a difference putting, that small, excuse me, that small amount of critical thought in your life just for 5 minutes a day, writing things down, figuring out what you can do better tomorrow, and things start to stick. And I know this is another one here that I'm sure everybody's heard, and I've done a okay job at. I've had some off years, but taking care of your body. And it's not even just for taking care of your body so you live longer. When you take care of your body, you're eating the right food, you're keeping the garbage out, limiting caffeine and alcohol. I'm really bad at the caffeine part. And, you're working out 3 to 4 times a week. Man, it just makes your mind stronger. You get into those fight or flight modes, again, with conflict and, daily stress. And, you get full of these hormones. And really, the only way to rid your body of them is exercise. There is no other natural way. You got to burn them out. You got to go for a run. You got to lift weights, just something. And I know you know this feeling where you finished a short workout or maybe even a long one. And man, that first breath after you're done, you just felt better. It's because those stress hormones are gone. So, taking care of your body is not just for, so you look good and everything else. It's, you really operate at a much higher level throughout your life. And you're less prone to injury as well because you just stay in shape. Next, and again, I've been guilty of this as well, always focus on the positive and the good in life. People are going to do you wrong, and you will see others doing wrong to others, and you can't feed into it. Don't gossip. Don't condemn them. Don't feed your energy into a conversation about the wrong unless you're doing something to correct it. And just so that's even the conversation on your mouth and in your mind. Don't sit and think about it. Don't dwell about it. Because honestly, if you keep dwelling on it, what I find is you're going to get more of it if you do. Again, you're going to get more negativity. So you're focusing on the positive rather than the negative in any situation. I know that's very cliche to say, but it makes such a difference when you can look at a bad situation and take a lesson out of it. Or you can look at, something that's been going wrong and be like, well, good, now I know the truth. And be done with it. And just release it. Next from there is not being where you are or at the level of your goals is not a good reason to be grateful every day for what you have and who you have in your life. So if you do one thing today or any day, work towards these goals, work towards these relationships, the day was a success. You should celebrate that success, that you move forward towards this stuff. So again, let me say this again. So not being where you are at or at the level of your goal that you think you should be at this time or this point in your life is not a good reason to not be grateful every day for what you already have and who you have in your life. And I'm going to touch a little more on this a little bit further down here because I have another statement here that this kind of came to me today, and I really thought this was really good. And this is, it has to do with practicing gratitude. So, and I found this to be true for me. because I think happiness is a choice. Most days, I mean, honestly, there's some days where you have a really good reason not to be happy. There's a lot of reasons where things aren't the way you want them to be, and you can just live there if you want, but it's not worth it. So this statement is: gratitude gives you the ability to make happiness a choice, no matter what your circumstances are. And again, I didn't read this anywhere. Like when I was looking for these thoughts, this just popped into my head. So what that means to me is, if you're having these bad feelings, or better yet, make gratitude a daily part of your life. So what I try to do, I wake up, I go get my coffee ready. I have a seat for 15 minutes, to kind of stretch and see what hurts for the day. But I sit and I think about the things I'm grateful for, the things that I have, the ways I've been blessed. And even if I have a tough day coming up, that I find that starting the day with that gratitude, that it gives me the choice, and again, the choice to make happiness my choice for the day, no matter what's going on. Like, I know you've probably seen it, but there's some people in terrible circumstances, poor, hungry, but man, when you see them, they're smiling, they're happy because they're choosing to be happy. Their circumstances are not dictating that they're miserable, that they're hungry, that they're poor, that and maybe they don't even see that side of life because their gratitude. They're grateful that they're alive and they lived another day. And again, I'm sure it goes deeper than that for them, but in looking in at it, I really believe if you start the day out with gratitude, or spend 5 minutes digging into the things you're grateful for when you're in a circumstance that doesn't seem like it's a great one for you, that you can choose to be happy by focusing on the things you're grateful for. And that doesn't mean you're going to ignore those circumstances, but it puts you into a different mindset to deal with them properly, in a mature manner. Does that make sense? Okay. So, this is another one. It's been hard a lot of my life because, I was one of those people not going to stop stores. I was bullied when I was young. Again, maybe it wasn't that extreme, but thinking back on it, man, it kind of was. Because there's some people I see today that were those bullies. And honest to God, it sets off this reaction in me where I feel like, I don't feel scared like I was. But when I see them in person, I still feel it. It's not like I'm going to confront them or anything, but what I feel like you have to do, and this is relationships, your kids, parents, business associates, anything that comes up in your life, is forgive fast. No matter what. It's up to you. It's for you and everyone else around you that's important to you, because you really can't be your best self when you're preoccupied with what was done to you, fantasizing how you're going to get even, trying to figure out how you can win. None of that works. And it really just, it tears you down. It wastes your energy, your resources. And I'm still, this is something I practice at. But when something happens, I look at it for what it is. I look at the facts, and I just make the choice to forgive it and let go, release. Like I am not really good at it because when I'm agitated, it's pretty easy to see in me. But it's something I work at every day, and that's forgive fast. And my last one, this one should be probably higher up on the list, but it's not because you'll hear why here in a second. But I am not a religious person. I'm very spiritual. I believe in a higher power, just not religious. But my last thing is talk to God. Just in trying to practice this, and for everybody it's gonna be different. Your higher power is gonna be different for you than what it is for me. But there's a voice inside of you that it always knows what to do. You can call it your conscience, You can call it whatever you want. You can call it your gut feelings. People call it all kinds of different things. For me, it's your access to the higher power. It's how you talk to God, for me. And like I said, I'm not a religious person, but I'm very spiritual. I believe, there is a creator myself. But, back to the voice. I mean, I'll call it the voice because that's just how it makes more sense to me. Is we really don't listen to it or hear it. And it takes practice till you start to hear it. And the way you start to hear it is just being quiet. I mean, I do it after I journal. And just think about what's going on. And you can ask, what should I do? And sometimes there'll just be a feeling. You'll feel what you should do. Or you'll think about one situation and it'll feel a certain way. And you still don't have words for it. You might not hear the voice. But you're definitely going to get the feeling for what you should do in that situation, So like I said, to me, that's just the ability to connect to a higher power. And, for the things that I can't forgive or I'm trying to forgive, that is where I go to try and get that release, to forgive these things of my past so I can move on and be a better person. Yeah, I mean, that's all I really have on that. I mean, I know that was kind of lengthy. This is probably the longest video of this type I ever made. But these were things that were on my mind today. And these are things that, like I said, I knew when I was younger. I knew some of this stuff for years, but I didn't understand them. And if you guys can take anything from this video and it makes one part of your life better, shoot me a message. Again, I'm not going to make a big public post and display about it. But man, a lot of stuff is pretty sensitive information. And I know some of this is not like super masculine to put out there and publicize. But I feel like a lot of it's important. And, my last statement there, like, how I think talk to God should be higher up on this list. It's not, because I'm still learning how to do it. But anyway, happy birthday to me. Hope some of this was helpful. And, if there's anything I can do for any of you, just reach out. Thanks, guys.